The day after, though, the day after I got this one, I got another gruesome card for a more memorable reason, which was a big scare.
You want to talk about it? Why not?
Yeah, sure, natural segue.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Noelle, also known as Charge and Die. I'm a professional scare actor. I tell Scareactor Stories as my main content on TikTok, and then I decided to bring it over to Twitch and YouTube while interviewing fellow scare actor friends of mine like Rob here. Thanks for being here, and let's get started. I have a special guest with me tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I guess I'll have to.
No one's ever said no yet. You could try.
I mean, I feel like we've run out of material if people get confused after the first, 15 minutes. But my name is Rob Tiemstra. I'm, I guess, an ex-scare actor. I'm not sure my future is... I'm going to scare act much in the future. But we were together, we scared in similar proximity to each other in Halloween Horror Nights in 2018, during which I was one of the many Michael Myerses. Since then, I've gone on to... I write spooky stories for podcasts as my main job. I'm also a filmmaker. One of those things actually pays my rent, the other does not. And yeah, that's the general picture of me. Yeah.
I hope it's okay, Rob. I put your Instagram and Twitter tags on the overlay. I think you can see that on Twitch. So please follow him and his content. He's an amazing filmmaker and everything.
Oh, thank you.
And he's
I'm amazed she still says this after I keep casting her ex and things.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's fine. He's an interesting fellow. I'll give him that.
It's all about the bass voice.
It's all about his voice. Yeah, I get it. It's fine. Just cast me in some stuff once in a while, please. Not with him.
I will, Noelle. The right project just hasn't come along.
You keep saying that, Rob. It's fine. We're still friends. Clearly, I like you more than just using you to get in your movies. We also play D&D together, sorta. It's not like D&D, but it's D&D-esque. It's a role-playing game. So we're actually good personal friends. In real life, we actually knew each other for several years before Halloween.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It was a while. But the stream is lagging big time since I'm not home, so I have to go. Oh, that's okay, Maroon Wolf. Join back whenever you got time. It's perfectly fine. I understand technology in the way that I don't understand technology, so I get that. That made sense in my head. Words. What are they? You would know. You're the writer. But yeah.
There's too many of them.
There's too many of them. And then when you start studying words in other languages, you start losing words in your native language. I learned that the hard way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. When I started speaking German and I was living in Germany, I started forgetting words in English.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and then I also had a friend from Kazakhstan who was a native Russian speaker, and whenever he would talk to his mom on the phone, it would bring it back a little bit, but he would tell me, it's really hard speaking my native language sometimes after speaking my non-native for so long, because I'll forget some words off the top of my head. Yeah, so fun fact. Anyway, back to Scareactor. Yeah, so Rob and I are really good friends in real life. We've hung out quite a bit. So our relationship is less scare actor based and more just the industry and hanging out and being nerdy based. So this is gonna be a really fun interview. Not that others aren't fun, but it's a fun interview for me because I haven't seen him in so long thanks to the mess.
Oh, God,
so we're kind of catching up and we're talking scare acting. So feel free to ask your questions. We are experienced, but this is more for me. Yeah.
Also, a fun extra bonus thing. I think both of us moved recently, but I moved more recently, and I found my old scare actor ID while I was moving, so that was me.
Oh, cool.
Back in 2018. I also found one of my gruesome cards.
Nice. What did it say? What did they give it for?
It says, and this is the thing, I don't remember what this is for. Because I got gruesome cards 2 nights in a row, and one of them I don't remember what. Because this one says, helping us solve 2 conflicts quickly and efficiently. Great job. I don't know what that refers to, what that means, what I did. generally a pretty calming presence, so I probably saw some shit going down and informed our stage manager person, Luisa, who is wonderful. I don't know if she's still at Universal, but I remember really liking her. The day after, though, I got this one, I got another gruesome card for a more memorable reason, which was a big scare.
You want to talk about it? Why not?
Yeah, sure. Natural segue.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the Michael Myers maze, and it was a lot of very repetitious scares. You know, we were just taught to do the just coming out with the knife thing while looking.
Oh no, lag! Sorry, Rob, there was a little bit of lag you cut out there.
Oh dear.
You want to try that again? So the motion, and then it cut out a little.
Well, it cut out my wonderful Austin Powers joke about playing
Take
Michael
two,
Myers.
please tell the joke. Tell the joke, sir.
Really, the joke is just me saying that I was dressed as Michael Myers, as Austin Powers when I'm not. But anyways, diving into the story, we rotated haunts because we were all pretty interchangeable, and there was one haunt toward the end of the maze where there was this power plant. It's from Halloween 4, one of the most popular entries in the Halloween series. No, it's not. I actually didn't watch it before doing the scare, the haunt. I watched it only during the mess. I was like doing a let's watch a horror movie a day in October, and I thought, I actually haven't seen the Halloween movie. I kind of have been in an adaptation of.
Wasn't there gonna be like a new movie coming out, and that's why they did it?
It was because of the 2018 reboot of the Halloween series, the one with Jamie Lee Curtis, all adulted.
They were promoting that on City Walk. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and that's why ours was so popular, is because of the coincidence there. Even because apparently they designed one based on the Blumhouse Halloween movie, but Blumhouse pulled the plug because they didn't want a live attraction spoiling their movie, I guess.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's what Nerdy said anyway. I don't really know the full story, but we were right across the way from Universal Monsters, and Universal Monsters was my favorite, just of any of the mazes we did that year. Maybe any maze I've been to.
It was a great maze.
The last night, which I'm going to talk about a lot, but the last night in which we were allowed to go across and visit the other mazes, I went to that one pretty much during every break because I enjoyed it so much. Anyways, cutting back, there's a power plant scare toward the end of the Halloween 4 maze, where there's one guy who's getting electrocuted. He's like clutching the fence, going rah, doing the usual thing, and then a Michael pops. And then as you're rounding the corner, you walk past the electrocuted fried guy, and then a Michael pops out and like scares you as you're rounding that corner. And for some reason, one of these nights, I popped out because I could barely see out of that hide. That was one of the ones without the screen. I just saw the electric shock light spilling through underneath the curtain. So I just saw the shock, heard a few like surprise noises. I was like, okay, they're coming close, and I would always time it. So I pull it open, come out with the knife, and there's a woman standing in front of me, probably about, if memory serves, she was much shorter than I am, probably about 5 feet tall. She's like 40s, just like mom age basically, and her entire family is arranged behind her in like bowling pin formation.
Oh god.
So she like reels back into them, and they all go down, it was kind of incredible, but all the more incredible because there was the other scare actor there to witness this, so people didn't think I was exaggerating when I said I knocked down a bunch of people like bowling pins. The funny thing is, I was keeping a tally of the number of people that I scared so badly they fell over during that season. As like a first-time scare actor, that was just a thing I was like just trying to get every night. I'm going to get a few people to fall over. I remember very clearly that I got 99 people to fall over during the entire season, and I was so frustrated because it was one shy of 100.
Dang it! Well, now you gotta scare again and get that one more person.
I guess maybe I may have miscounted the people who were bowled over, so maybe I did do 100 and I just miscounted. I don't
think anyone's gonna question you. You could say it was exactly 100. I was so excited at that. It is exactly 100.
Greater than or equal to 100, or less than or equal to
99 and a half.
Oh god, that was an interesting maze because it was like open air. It was very like
Oh yeah.
I forget. It was on the Waterworld set, and it rained a couple of the nights we were scaring, and I'm sure you had that as a wandering scare actor, but we were like some of us were pulled out of our haunts during the rainy days because of lightning. We would be like standing next to a huge metal pole, and it's like that's unsafe. So we were pulled out of our haunts during that.
What did
sure,
you
but
do?
people-
What did you do? Because I know a lot of people did a dance party.
What do you mean? What did we do?
There was like one night in particular that was so bad. Like most people had to get refunded. It was just nonstop rain. I don't know if you remember that night, but we talked about it.
I remember the like thunderstorm, the like pouring, the deluge. For me, it was just kind of a normal night, just with fewer people in the haunts. I don't remember anything particularly. I don't remember any dance parties.
Okay, because in a lot of mazes, they were so rained out that they could not physically go back into their maze, so they had to find shelter somewhere else, like a nearby building.
Yes, I did hear about this.
And then they would like put on the radio or stereo or something and just like have a little dance party because no one can scare. What are they gonna do for all that time?
The exact opposite.
Yeah, for me. Oh, I don't know if I told you that. I probably didn't tell you a lot about that year, but so I was the wolf, of course,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and I was out on New York Street, and that is out in the rain at that time. So Dan, like the whole area supervisor, comes over, and he and I are good friends now. I actually bought his couch off him before he went cross country and moved to Florida. So thanks, Dan. Wolf Caller says, Tiemstra, nice banners.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
If my Twitter handle's anything to go by, or not handle, my description. I'm a huge Tolkien nerd, so I'm just like half of my decor in this room is somehow Lord of the Rings or related.
I've seen one movie of Lord of the Rings, and I have to see the others. I'm getting there. Yeah.
Do so. You have such joy awaiting for you if you like them.
Thank you for thinking of it like that, because so many people are like, you haven't seen all of Lord of the Rings? What the hell? And
I never understand why people are like this, because not having seen a film that other people love is such a great opportunity to share that love with you. Like it's
just sit with them and experience it all over again through their eyes for the first time. Why not? So yeah. Oh, Wolfcaller goes, room tour time now.
I wish I could, but right now I'm kind of in a desktop situation, so I can't really lift my computer.
Nope.
But
one day maybe.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick YouTube tour. It'll be great.
Give like a vague description. I have a huge there's a map of Middle Earth just in our living room beside my bookcase. There's what are the other things? Mostly like posters and the like. I'm trying to. Anyways, like a lot of Treebeard posters and stuff like that.
They say I hear gamma rays handle that problem.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. Yeah.
We're getting a little sidetracked, but it's okay. We're catching up. So I remember training you for the audition for Halloween Horror
that's true.
Nights. Did that help at all?
Well, yes, it definitely did. I have like sort of concrete proof that it did because I went there with a friend. It was me and my friend Jen, who is a very talented artist, and she's also a scare actor. She's done like Scareactor stuff.
I didn't know she was also a scare actor. Yeah, I know her from your movie nights. Yeah.
We were both in haunts that year, but the thing is, we both auditioned for Universal. Only I got in, and I think it was either because you had trained me before, so I knew what they were looking for, or because I'm a little over 6 foot tall, and they were looking for really tall dudes. I'm not a physically intimidating person, but my height has gotten me a lot of places in just generally finding work since moving to LA. I was a security guard for like 8 months. It was I've had some weird jobs.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Cool.
Well, I was technically a security PA because there was this company called Real Security that did like film set security, and they hired like non-licensed security guards, which is security PAs, and I was one of those because I wasn't licensed as a guard. But I don't know what I would have done if I encountered someone trying to steal film equipment.
Citizens arrest! Ha!
I mean, just the fact that, like, I was, they'd basically just like leave me on a set where they left the equipment while everyone went home to sleep. So I'd be like on the set of a Disney movie or a Netflix movie. I think it was Bright was one of the movies I was on, so it was like A Wrinkle in Time. But I was never actually. It felt like a weird like so close yet so far moment because I was this film student right out of college, and I was like on the very periphery of the film sets I wanted to actually be working on.
So close.
It was maddening, but then like. But the point being, my head has gotten me some places, and Universal was another one of those. But also your training. Your training probably helped you, and more so.
Porque no lo estos. I'd like to think it helped.
Yeah,
if you think it helped, that's all that matters. Because, so Rob came over for like, I don't know, an hour or two, and I just like I had him like show me what he got, you know, like with scaring, and then I told him what Halloween Horror Nights is more looking for and how to adjust.
She was like, okay, you're clearly a very rusty performer, your instincts are all wrong.
No. This is great. For a scare acting setting though, let's mix it up a bit. Because you do have, like, you're very tall and you're skinny, and that's such a great thing to be.
One of my nicknames in college was Slender Man, and it was just like,
love that.
I have
And
that sort of
Slender
physique.
Man is a horror icon.
That's true.
So you were meant to scare act at least once. And I'm glad you were able to. So what was the... Oh, we have a question. Carlos, hi, welcome. How's it going? It's going well. We're catching up. So Rob, if you missed the earlier bit, Rob is a close personal friend of mine in real life, so we're just kind of catching up more than anything. But I have a question. What song and or songs always get you pumped up for scare acting? For me, it's anything by Disturbed. Did you listen to any music to pump you up beforehand?
Well, you see, we kind of started to bend the rules in my haunt. Some of us actually like figured out ways to rig our like iPods somewhere in our costumes or our phones in our costumes and had the headphones up in the masks.
Oh yeah, William did that all the time. William, I don't know if he's in the chat, but.
But I was a weird one because I listened to.
Oh no, it cut out again. Rob, come back. Oh no, it's just me. What am I? Da-da-na-na-na-na-na-na. This is my awkward way of like buying time. But to answer your question while we wait for Rob to come back, hold please, my Discord crashed. I'm so sorry. At least I know it's you, Rob. I wouldn't have known it was you. Yeah, no, join, hop in the call again whenever you can. If we need to hop to Zoom, let me know and we'll have a short intermission. But for me, the songs that always get me pumped up, I love Disturbed. Disturbed is great, so I agree with that. I listen to songs like Sucker for Pain from the Suicide Squad soundtrack. Anything to like get my blood pumping, but also like rawr. I'm using sounds rather than descriptions. How do I describe it? So certain songs will make me feel good and peppy and everything. But other songs make me feel like gritty.
I heard a bloop. I think I'm back.
You're back. I don't see you. Please work. Discord is a little iffy when it comes. Yay! Yay! He's back.
Hooray! Where did you lose me?
When you were answering the question.
Okay. I was just about to say I have a very eclectic taste in music. While I was scare acting, I was listening to a lot of this symphonic metal band called Glory Hammer, which I quite like. I saw them in concert a couple times in LA. They're quite fun. They have really goofy lyrics to their songs, but their like production is so good. Anyways, they're like this European symphonic metal band. But I was also the weird person who listened to audiobooks while scare acting.
Really? That's interesting.
I heard the entire The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson,
Nice.
Dr. Sleep, the entire of Children of Hurin, the Tolkien book, and also those are the ones I remember. And The Shining, that was the other one. I also listened to the entire Shining while scare acting, which kind of I learned. It was a concentration thing because like it gets repetitive after a while. Obviously, scare acting, but you also don't want to lose your rhythm, so you get something for the part of your brain that's not actively being engaged by scaring people to to do. You know, I didn't want to zone out. I wanted to always be like in the moment, and for some
Gotta
reason
be
that kind of
present.
multitasking helped me.
Yeah, that's interesting because a lot of my friends listen to their own like iPods or their phones or whatever. Like they'll have earbuds in while they're scaring because they're discreet, but they could still hear. For me, I don't do that because I don't want to lose my hearing, and I'm usually out.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm usually out there where it's the loudest. I'm like right by the speakers, so
Yeah.
I always wear earplugs as a safety precaution. And
Oh,
then
that's a
for
good call.
me,
Yeah.
I'm a weird one because I can
Oh, we
basically
all.
enter what me weird what but I'll listen to music in my own head.
Oh no, that actually makes a lot of sense. I sort of admire that ability because whenever I do that same thing, it just sort of loops. Like I get stuck in the same parts of every song.
Yeah, because
Like for
I started to get bored at first because it is very repetitive scaring, but being in a scare zone, the music
yeah,
is
scare
so
zones
loud.
require more creativity too.
Yeah, and I
Like
need to concentrate. So either I'll just focus on the music that they're pumping out there on the streets, which are it was like very heavy metal, so it was already getting me in the
yeah,
mood, you know?
that Slash soundtrack for Universal Monsters was
It
fantastic.
was so cool. I don't know if I told you this, but I had a really bad joke whenever I'd go through the classic monsters maze. Um,
Please tell.
so you know that one bit in the maze where you're going out and there's the Wolfman, like statue thing that would be like pushed out and roar at you or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
As soon as I would get to that point, whoever I'm with, whether they are a fellow scare actor or not, I would go, "Huh, what a weird place to put a mirror." Thank you for
That's
the pity
fun.
laugh. Yeah, it's because I was a wolf, so I'd be like,
Oh
what a
yeah,
weird
no,
place.
of course.
Yeah, so I was like commenting on the fact I'm a wolf, but if they weren't a fellow scare actor, they wouldn't know. But if I was going through with my fellow wolf sister, they would be like, yeah, good one. It's the same thing I would do when I was Grindstone Kill in 2017. I would get my mask, the really gruesome mask. Every time before my shift, I would grab my mask and go, well, back to the daily grind. Put the mask on,
I really like that one.
go to the grindstone, and I would do a pelvic thrust and then sit down, and then I was ready. It was
Hell yeah.
it was my daily routine. It started off getting a few laughs, but after like the third day doing it in a row, people were like, Noelle. I'm like, at least you know my name.
It's, she's like, are we gonna actually kill her this time? The whatchamacallit, the weird thing, there was like always these weird moments in between jumping into our zones where like the timing would sometimes be off, and Michael Myers before there would be these like surreal moments where like you'd see a Michael Myers before we're just wandering confused through
Oh
the maze.
no. Oh,
And
that
I
happens.
just thought of that because you thought of like going on stage and backstage. We were lucky. We had a green room. We didn't like. We had like a proper green room with like a television and like um
Nice.
and just like a bath. It's a proper bathroom. We weren't like in those like sort of like soundstagey areas that other mazes like Stranger Things had.
Oh yeah,
But
we
I
shared the
remember.
same building, didn't we?
I think no,
No,
we
that was
we
separate.
sort of no, we sort of did because you had like a tent outside, and we had the backstage. We're the green room from the Waterworld performances, and you were like I
We
remember
were in that building. Like we had a tent outside, but that's where people would like stretch and get ready and into
yeah.
costume and everything. But our break room was actually in that building
Oh, interesting.
upstairs, and so we
I
also had
never, never
the
knew
TV
that.
and everything. But yeah, it was such a pain to use the restroom for me because as a wolf, I'm hairy, and therefore they could not use a zipper for my costume. They used
Oh
like
no.
100 hook and eyes.
That's horrible. I just had like a jumpsuit all the way up, so like I had to zip all the way down and step out of it entirely in order to use the restroom.
See, that would be great. I would have loved that. But I don't know if you've heard this story, but I tell it all the freaking time because it's hilarious to me. But I needed someone's help to get out of my costume every time.
Yes, you have to admit it.
I specifically had costumes people assigned to me so that they would help me with my gloves and I could do the mask myself, but the reason I needed help with my gloves is because they had to pull my sleeve over the gloves so that it looked a little bit more seamless, so it wasn't just this ginormous glove sticking out. But the fur was so fragile, you could just slightly tug and it would come off. And
You'd think they would make it a bit more durable if it's in a scare zone.
You'd think, but no. And it would also happen to be the most expensive fabric they had. So they had to make it last, and they couldn't just remake whatever. But we were balding. We were balding around here. We were balding on the forearms because they would like pull it back and then forward, and that tug pulled the hair out. So after a while, they were like, no. We need a costumes person specifically assigned to these wolf girls to like go in the fabric, pull it out, and then over the gloves. And they were trained to do this for us.
Should I talk about rehearsal day? Because I think I have a unique perspective on Noelle's opening ceremony performance. Because if memory serves, and granted this was almost 3 years ago, so my memory might be hazy.
Oh God, was it? Jesus. Okay.
2018. So I remember we were rehearsing the same time, out of costume. So you all were out there in the lot, just going back and forth with your choreography and everything. And we were all of these 6 foot tall dudes of all sorts of ethnicities and all sorts of backgrounds were just pretending to be Michael Myers as in the Michael Myers maze without any of the costume, which was very funny. But after our rehearsal was wrapped, we went and watched your opening ceremony in your I guess final rehearsal of the night, and I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, y'all were only wearing masks. So it was it was like a really silly dressed down version of the sort of deal. It was very funny.
I would mess that up every time in rehearsal because it's such an easy thing to do. Like you go rah at the right time, and I wanted to let them know I got it. But also, I'm not going to go all in the rehearsal if I don't have to. So sometimes in my rehearsal, I would go up, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look it up on YouTube, the opening ceremony, HHN Hollywood 2018. And I'm the wolf that howls right next to Sam before charging the crowd. I'm the first one to charge the crowd. So in my rehearsal, we would go through the motions, and then it would come to me, and I'd go up, and at the howl, I would either dab or pelvic thrust or be like, whoa, and I would just I know what I'm doing. Let's do the thing. But God, if you look up those videos on YouTube, and I've looked at them because some people would send them to me. I was curious. I looked them up. I could tell you exactly what was going on in my head in those moments, based on if there's daylight out, what shoes I'm wearing, and where I'm coming out from. I could tell you exactly what happened that night.
Okay, so I don't know if my number for you is out of date, but I just texted you a video that we took backstage, which is the only video, photo or video evidence I have that I worked at Halloween Horror Nights, besides the ID and everything.
Nice. Oh my God! I remember you sending me this.
You did. I forgot that I had sent it already, but
Oh yeah, no, I remember this because so he took a video of 4 different Michael Myers, and each one is doing a different dance move to the theme song of
the Halloween theme. And honestly, I was so grateful I was in the Halloween maze, because that is the one horror movie theme perhaps that I could listen to on a loop forever and never get sick of.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great. Let's see. Carlos says, by the way, I just saw your post on World Theater Day. It was awesome. Thank you. I really miss theater. I'm mainly a theater actor. I say, I don't know. It's just it's so ironic because San Francisco, Rob and I are both from San Francisco, by the way, San Francisco East Bay. And, the market in San Francisco is commercial, voiceover, and theater, right? LA is known for film. When I was up in San Francisco, I would get cast in films. That was the only thing I would ever get cast in is film. That's what I do. So I thought, okay, let's move to LA where all the films are, right? As soon as I moved to LA, what do I get? Theater.
That that's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Right? I was like, why did I move down here?
I used to do a lot of theater I used to be in the theater more with like San Francisco Shakespeare Festival and all that. My brother's still an actor. He does lots of theater. He's been doing a lot of Zoom performances.
Nice.
Though one of my discoveries during the mess was I joined a Discord exclusive, or not Discord, a Discord-based Shakespeare reading group that does like full readings of Shakespeare plays like 3 times a week, and it's been like a great joy to like rediscover that theater part.
Oh, I love that. Let's see. Carlos says, I envy the Scareactors that got indoor break rooms. I've only ever been in Metro and had to wait for the bus every damn time. I totally understand because I was on Terror Tram in 2017, so I understand. We were spoiled in Scare Zone 1, so no, I get it. Let's see, that's like the Iceland-Greenland situation. Yeah.
What is?
Like Iceland is known for its greenery, but Greenland is known for being icy.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah, it was interesting because it felt weird being so close to you, but not being near enough to like scare with you because we were still in different zones. It's like so close yet so far.
Also, I don't know how. You had like a very close bond with your other castmates. I didn't. I was like the weird guy sitting in the corner for most of the season, which kind of it didn't help that I was working 2 jobs at the time. One of the jobs was a freelance job writing podcast, which then later became my full-time job. But I'd be like printing up full copies of my scripts and doing edits and all that in the corner of the break room while everyone else was just hanging out. It was kind of weird. There's a weird vibe in the Michael Myers break room because, you're casting mostly 6-foot-tall dudes, and they were all, and so, like, you get the 3 categories of scare actor, right? You get the, like, professional scare actor, you get the actor who also scares, and then you get the random person slumming it between gigs. That's my read on it. I could be missing a category.
No, you're completely right. Yeah, and I could tell stories of how I've scared with all those kinds of people. And I was, the actor who scared on the side, but then scaring became my main thing.
Yeah, my vibe, but like my vibe in the room was very like broy in the because it was mostly dudes. There was like a handful of like shorter women for like our for the section that's like where there's a trick-or-treating section that was based on Halloween 3 that Murdy snuck in order to like adapt both Halloween 3 and 4, but also keep Michael Myers. But like it felt very macho, very broy, very like I was suddenly on part of a swim team where everyone's just wearing matching blue jumpsuits that are like the base of the Michael Myers costume. It just felt kind of weird to me being a theater person, not being aware of, or not being as familiar with this kind of energy. So I was pretty standoffish for most of the season. Yeah, there were a few people I quite liked and I was close to, but it was also just like. It felt very much kind of like a job, like clocking in, clocking out, which it is, but like also, there were some things where I was like looking over at some of the other haunts. I'm like, this look a little bit more fun energy-wise, but that's also probably grass is greener situation. I'm weird and awkward in most situations.
I mean, most scare actors are too, because I'm awkward and weird in every situation. It's more well received in the scare acting community in a way.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair.
It's like, what are you doing, Noelle? You're being so weird. Like, I would randomly like do the floss dance when I was Grindstone Kill, and it was actually accepted by other people. Just, ooh.
I think what also made the Halloween one is that it was like not only that it was just dudes, because there are great dude scare actors, but it's just that like so many of them were new because it was like they were super desperate to get as many over 6-foot-tall dudes as possible. So you'd also get so many like people who aren't performers, and sometimes when people aren't performers, I don't really know how to interact with them in a performing context because they're just. Although, weirdest coincidence, I was writing a podcast at the time that was about a particular hostage crisis that happened in Russia, and one of my fellow scare actors, I learned, is Russian, and he lived in Russia during the time of this, so I got to ask him a few things about like how it was promoted in the media while I was writing this episode. It felt very fun to just have my job have this moment of confluence.
Whoa, small world. Jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of small worlds, I see another Noelle showed up in there.
Yeah, that's what okay, let's see. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman for me was also always dudes. We were blessed to have 2 female actors, Scareactors as Wolfmen. The Wolf women always kick ass. Yeah. And coincidentally, one of our female Wolfmen is also named Noelle. Whoa! I rarely meet elder Noelles, especially spelled that way.
I think I've met at least 2 other Noelles in LA. Nope.
Noelle.
Yeah, that's
Noelle.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I really like the Frankenstein and the Wolfman maze. See, that was the first time I've been to Halloween Horror Nights as a guest. I'd only ever been because I'd never actually been to. In 2019.
Yeah,
was the
me
first
too.
time.
We should have gone together. Damn it.
Well, because like I was too poor when I moved to LA to like spend $50+ on an event.
That's fair.
And then I got hired by Halloween Horror Nights in 2018, and I've been to other haunts. I've been to like Knott's, and I've been to Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, which were all cheaper, but probably added up to about as much. But,
I never went to Queen Mary. I never went to Dark Harbor. Now it's gone forever, and I missed it.
No, in fairness, the last year I went to it, the year before the mess, and it was pretty mediocre that year, which was a shame.
It's because they didn't have us, Rob.
I guess. I mean, the first year I thought it was pretty good, but that also might be because it was my first haunt as a guest in general. The first time I'd been to a like haunted house as an adult, so I was very I was easily impressed, probably. But anyways, the year after I acted, and it was the first time I'd been to Halloween Horror Nights as a guest, and
how was it as a guest versus working it?
I mean, I really like it. There's the waiting in lines is a problem, but that's just with every like park sort of attraction. Mm-hmm. I really liked for me as a writer and as a storyteller, I really that was the thing that really engaged me when we first got our briefing when we all were first hired is when Murdy comes out and does his dramaturgical breakdown of how they wanted to recreate the feel of the film in its maze, and I was really into that stuff because it was a form of adaptation that I'd never considered. I've spent way too many hours of my life thinking about film to TV, theater to TV, all these book to film to TV. I've thought about all these sorts of adaptations, but I never thought of.
Oh, you cut out again, Rob. Come back to us.
God, I'm back. I didn't fully crash.
Yay! Okay. I believe what you were trying to say was that you never thought of a film to a maze setting.
Yes,
right?
I was a very long way of going about it, but as someone who's thought a lot about adaptation, that's something that working at Halloween Horror Nights really sparked in me, and then revisiting it as a guest was more breaking down okay, how are they doing this? Because they presented when we were doing it as Scareactors, they just tell you, and in that case I was okay, how did they take the film Us by Jordan Peele and turn that screenplay into a haunt experience?
Yeah.
That sort of thing really interests me from a creative perspective.
Yeah, me too. And I highly recommend people see the movie first. If you're scare acting in a certain maze or zone and it's based off of a movie, which Halloween Horror Nights is, they rarely do their own original ideas. It's usually based off of a movie that they're trying to promote or something.
That's why I loved the Universal Monsters, is because it was let's take these ideas that are so iconic, these images that are so iconic that people don't even know the movies they're from, and sort of revamp them, for no pun intended.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's great. And if you've seen the movie, and I use this example a lot. Did you go through Killer Clowns in 2019? I did.
Yeah, I did.
Excuse me. I hadn't seen the movie going through it the first time. I just really loved the maze. But I thought it was hokey. I thought it was cheesy. I was like, what is this? And then I ended up seeing the movie because Glenn was working that maze that year as light tech. So he told me, oh, it's on YouTube for free. Let's see this movie together so that we both understand the context of everything. So we watched the movie together, and he'd already seen it, but I watched it for the first time. I was like, oh, I need to go through this maze again. So I went through it again and realized, oh, it's the movie that's hokey, and Universal freaking nailed it. Like,
Hell yeah. That's
it was like you were in the movie. It was insane. And watching the movie, new appreciation for it. So definitely watch the movie, do the research.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I watched that movie for the first time backstage at Halloween Horror Nights 2018.
Oh.
As I mentioned, we had a television in our break room, and someone had access to a Hulu account, and they were just like playing random horror movies throughout the night. That would lead to some weird experiences. Like, I saw The Fly for the first time that way, so it was like I begin watching the movie. It'd be this like moving drama with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis. I'd leave to go and scare people for an hour, and I'd come back, and Jeff Goldblum's a fly. And I don't get any of the in-between part that makes that film
missed
really
a
work.
critical point in the plot line there.
Yeah, but that was always a very fun moment of coming backstage. It was like, what are y'all watching? What did I miss? It was just like a very fun sort of.
Yeah, when I was...
Occasionally they play the Halloween films, which felt very apropos. Like someone putting on the Rob Zombie Halloweens or the original. I don't think they ever actually played Halloween 4 hilariously backstage at the Halloween 4 maze.
Oh, that would have been nice, though, because you get the research done. I didn't see Trick or Treat. I was in the Trick or Treat scare zone. I didn't see Trick or Treat until at least halfway through the run, so I had nothing to base it off of, and I didn't know it at all. But
so
yeah. So my friend won it. I don't know if you remember orientation that year, but someone won some prizes. My fellow wolf sister, who I didn't even know at the time, won the Trick or Treat DVD, and she was in the Trick or Treat scare zone.
That's great.
Yeah, so I borrowed it from her for a few days and watched it, and I realized the context of my character. I just thought I was a scary wolf the whole time, so I was playing it like a scary wolf. I watched the movie and I go, are you freaking kidding me? I could have been playing like a her the whole time. Because they're sexy, and that's how they lure the guys, and then they turn into a wolf and all that stuff. So I could have been playing it sexier. Dear Lord, why didn't I not know this sooner?
I got lucky because Michael Myers is a very easy character to play, and if you're not playing him plain as possible, you're doing the job wrong.
How did you avoid repetitive motion injury, doing the same motion over and over again?
Stretching was one thing. I didn't ever change the arm I was using. There were like days where I'd wake up and I'd like try and stretch and be like, ha, my right. That hurt as well because I was vaccinated in that arm yesterday.
Oh no, yeah. Dude, please don't hurt yourself. Oh no.
But I wanted to I noticed one of these questions is are there any dream IPs you'd love to see turned into a maze? And I love the suggestion of Fright Night 85 because that film is fantastic. But there were there's a thing going around on Instagram where people are going like, your ideal Halloween Horror Night houses and mazes and scare zones, and I had a few bananas pitches for those. I think the more reasonable one was Crimson Peak. I wanted to see like that Gothic mansion recreated in the Halloween Horror Nights way, and a lot of the Doug Jones characters are very like doable in like Scareactor performances. The other strange one is I was thinking like do Don't Look Now, the Scareactor version. I don't know if you've seen Don't Look Now. It's a very artsy horror film from the 70s. It'd be wild and also kind of awesome in my opinion. I forget what the other one was. I had a third, but I also said they should do a scare zone of cats because that would be kind of amazing.
Oh, I love that idea. We've jokingly said in some Scareactor Story interviews to make the year 2020 a maze. And
oh God,
and the whole thing
for people to go through.
No, I want to be that person in the one room, and everyone's wearing like a little like face mask as they're going through all this stuff, and then they get to this one long hallway, and at the end of this long black dark hallway, there's a spotlight that comes on me, the scare actor, and I'm just standing there as me. I'm not wearing any makeup at all. And I just go, and that's it. And then they take a right turn and they go through the rest of the maze. But I want to be that one person at the end of the hallway and they're approaching in that spotlight, which is kind of like a jump scare. They're like, oh my god. And then they see like a normal person just kind of smiling at them. They're like, oh my god, what's she's gonna do? Sorry. That's it. That's the whole scare. I would love that to be amazing.
That would be great. There's like, oh god, there's so many opportunities there, but I'm sure you've gone over them all in your other...
I mean, we're open to suggestions. I want to make this maze happen. That would be hilarious. And it's got to be after everything's done, because I don't want it to seem insensitive. It's like, how much time needs to pass before we can start to laugh about this?
I've noticed something about 2020 media is that it's outdated very fast. There was an incredible short film I saw. It was called just 2020. It was a parody of the film 1917, in which two dudes are going on a mission to, like, it was like to bring something to their Nana or something, and it's in this one continuous take, like the film 1917, and as they go, it was parodying multiple things that happened in 2020, and it was very well produced, but you could tell when they stopped filming, because that's when, like, the references ended, and you're like, oh, so they filmed this over the summer, they haven't gotten to the shit that's in store in, like, October and September.
Because
and,
there was so much more after that, yeah.
Amnesty is still going. But
it's not just 2020 anymore.
Yeah, true. One thing I did want to say, because I know that we're coming up on the hour mark, is one of my favorite nights from my entire year at Halloween Horror Nights was the very last one we did, because of how goofy people got. And I don't know if you've mentioned the goofiness in your...
I have not.
Oh, God. So... I wasn't prepared, really, because I was a first-time Scareactor. I didn't know how seriously we were taking it. It was early November. Very few people were coming. And so as I mentioned, I was going to Universal Monsters every other, like, break because I loved that maze so much. And I noticed that they were starting to do some weird things. Like, 2 people would come out and scare as opposed to 1. Or, like, there'd be someone at the wrong post. Like, you'd see, I don't know, Frankenstein in Dracula's place, and it was just like, what the hell? And then people in our maze started doing crazy things. Like we had the doctor from what's it? I keep thinking Chilton, but that's Silence of the Lambs. What's the doctor from Halloween?
I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. I've seen the movie once.
But
I know who you're talking about. The doctor.
Yeah. He's got his role is very simple. He's got like a gun and he's firing it after Michael, and he's got like the scripted lines. One of our guys took a banana and started doing that same motion with a banana instead of a gun, and there was still a sound cues and everything, and that was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he was doing like finger guns, and he was like doing all sorts of small variations. And then for the very last, I was off for the very last half hour of the maze, and one of the other scare actors, I don't remember who, because I think he had the mask on already, came up to me and said, okay, put your mask on, we're going in. And I was like, what's going on? And we walked into the diner set, which was one of our first rooms. It just had one Michael scare and the Dr. Loomis, that's it, and Dr. Loomis doing his gun thing.
Oh, yeah.
And what we did is we went into this fake diner and just sat down perfectly still, like we were having a meal. And then more Michaels joined us until this diner is full of Michael Myers just sitting down, and it became something like a David Lynch movie. Like people walked in and they didn't know how to react because it was just a diner full of Michaels.
You guys,
and it was... please
tell me you timed a turnaround. Like you're all just standing there, and then as soon as guests come in, you timed it so that all of you slowly turn your head to stare at them at the same time. That would.
I think we did that a couple of times, like a similar sort of thing a couple of times. Mostly we were just as still as possible, just to feel like mannequins. And then once the final people went through, we like stood up and followed them in this entire procession of Michael Myers, and then had a huge like dance party at the very exit of the maze. But it was, that diner experience was just very fun for me. That was very good. And I see there was also some goofiness in the Wolfman.
Yeah, maze. Carlos. On a final hour of the final night, I put on a kid's Spider-Man mask over my Wolfman mask and popped out at people as a wolf spider.
That is incredible. I love that. What a great pun.
What some of us did in our scare zone, first off, whenever it was slow, this isn't just like toward the end of the run or whatever, it's just whenever it was slow, I would play fetch with some of the some of the fellow zombie kids. So one zombie kid, Rob, he found a glow stick on the ground that someone dropped. And
Was he Rob Zombie?
Huh?
It was Rob Zombie. Anyways.
Oh, Rob Zombie, Scare Zone Rob. He was zombie. I get it. Rob Zombie, of course. So he grabs this glow stick and he waves it at me. And part of being a scare actor is being able to pick up on those improv cues from your fellow scare actors. So when he waved it in front of me, I got on right away. I was just like, and he would throw it at the feet of guests coming through. So I would charge them, scare them off, and then my gloves would not bend. They were very thick plastic. So I would have to and they were also very long, like the nails came out to here. So I would scoop up the glow stick and kind of balance it between my nails on my claws and then run it over, drop it down, and then we would do that.
That is amazing. I love that.
And then another one toward the end of the run when it was kind of dead was the other wolf girls and I, we all went out. Usually it's just like one full transformed wolf with a half transformed wolf, and then we would switch off. So there were a total of 4 of us, 2 full, 2 half. But we all went out on a set once, and we put our arms on each other, and we did the Sanderson sister walk from Hocus Pocus as the wolves
I haven't seen Hocus Pocus, but I think I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's like they would walk with the leg out like that, but like sniffing as they go, so they're like, like that, and we just did that all together, and it was hilarious.
That's amazing. I think there were there was part of it was like wishes there was more room for like improvisation in the maze that I was at. The one time, well, I can think of 2 times off the top of my head where I actually broke script. We were only supposed to run out, scare with a knife, and then back away because we're like, for one, I think they knew that they were dealing with a bunch of amateurs, so they didn't want to like overburden us with too much stuff to do. 2, Michael Myers is a simple character. He's a dude with a knife, so like he really just has to be there and be tall. But on 2 occasions, I broke script, and one of them was my friend Anna, who is my roommate now, was coming through with a bunch of her friends, and I was in a room where they'd have the "Have a Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock" thing playing from Halloween 3 on the television, and a dead guy on the couch, and I'd charge out of a closet. And in that one, I pretty much crossed the entire room toward them because I was like, I'm going to get them really good. The other time was during the lightning storm. They moved a statue Michael, a guy who was just sort of standing stock still and would do the scare, which is a great position to be in because you can be a statue and then you do the button. But they moved that guy because he was standing next to a metal pole and lightning danger. But I was in the scare before that, and it had its entrance right on the other side. So what I would do is I would scare people coming out the front, turn around to my own entrance, and then scare people out the back. The same people. So it was just like I was just like popping out of both ends doing the double scares. And I think they told me to stop doing that, but it was fun.
You're overworking yourself, man.
So you don't have a light cue there.
How dare you get creative. Well, that's the thing with mazes. It's like once you're assigned a spot, you're kind of there. Which is nice that you were able to switch out with other Michaels and do different kinds of scares.
I'm so grateful we did, because that would have gotten... My initial spot was at the very end in the black void that Murdy puts at the end of every maze. Where like you think you're out and then there's a scare. I was in that void for my initial place, and I thought I was going to be there the entire run, and that would have been horrible because it was so dull in there. No scenery, no music. Well, there was music, but it was just music from the... Yeah. But anyways, when we started moving, it was great. I think my favorite position, if memory... there were so many great positions. My favorite position, I think, was actually one where you'd press where I was behind like a false fence, and I'd press the button, and it would cue one like creepy light, and then it would give you, I think, like a count and a half, and then you pop out and it has your light. And it was very satisfying timing to get right, because if you jumped out too early, you would miss people. They'd be like looking at the other light. But if you jumped out, just slightly off, it would ruin the whole effect. So it kind of appealed to my like directing horror movies brain, which is the whole like, how can I time this edit just correctly to get this jump scare to work? It was like the point in the run where I was really thinking about my craft as a filmmaker behind the like just the basic jumping out and scaring people. sort of deal.
That's a good point too, because I tend to think of it more from a theatrical perspective, like this is my performance and this is what I'm doing. But you're right. Working for Universal specifically, if you think of it like a movie scene, that helps too, and especially if you come from a film
when
background.
you're playing someone like Michael Myers, because when you think about it, Michael Myers works as a villain because of John Carpenter's directing. He's just standing there. John Carpenter's the one who's like pulling the camera toward this stunt person, pulling away. The stunt person leaves, then he pulls the camera back. John Carpenter is playing Michael Myers in those like effective scenes functionally, because the guy's just hitting his marks and being tall, which is what we were hired to do.
Right,
and that was,
exactly.
I don't know.
It's a lot of other stuff too. It's not just the scare actors. And if you're interested in the lighting side of things, I did interview Glenn once.
Oh, fun.
It's on my YouTube channel, and we talked about the lighting side of things, and there was so much more to it than I expected. Not that I'm any kind of expert, I don't know anything about lighting, but
I mean, imagine there's a lot of consideration that goes into when you have your actors operating your lights, which is like every lighting tech's nightmare.
Well, what's funny is when I would go through Killer Clowns with him, he was going through like every 30 minutes and he would do that sign of like press your trigger. That's like the sign. He would flash his badge and say, I work here, press your trigger, to make sure it's working. But when he would go through with me, he would make me go in front of him, and I didn't know he was doing this, but he would do this right behind me, and they would get me, every single trigger was on me, which was freaky. But yeah, so that was part of his job, was going through and making sure those lights work. But another part of it is also the planning phase, because it has to be dark enough to hide a lot of stuff and the actors and everything, but also lit specifically to highlight certain things. So it was just like so much thought goes into it. And of course I knew a lot of thought went into it, but I didn't know exactly how much. So it was really interesting. So feel free to look that up if everyone's interested in the light side of things. I did interview Glenn. It's on my YouTube channel.
I'll definitely look into that. That's, especially since he worked on the lighting in the maze I was in, that sounds like a fun thing to think about.
Yeah.
And I'm also wondering about like the rationale behind those delayed cues, because I'm like, they didn't tell us anything about. They're like, we did rehearsals and everything, but I was never rehearsed in that particular spot, so I didn't know about the light delay. I had to figure that out on the fly. So I'm very curious about like what the rationale was there, and like how they were like, is this too complex for the actor to handle? No, we'll tell them about it, or whether it's something else entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever want to just like ask him, I could ask him for you and say like, well, what's this about? I like as if he's just right here, because he usually is, but he's at work today.
It's funny because actually I think the first time I met Glenn in person, like after y'all began dating, I didn't recognize him, and then you mentioned that, and I was like, I looked at him in like a profile view, because that's normally when I saw him, like, oh, now I see it, because the only time I had ever like interacted with him really was in like semi-darkness of like right outside the maze, or watching him walk past on like a monitor in like a black shirt in like the gloom of the maze.
That's so interesting that you guys kind of knew each other before he and I even knew each other.
Yeah, and the fact that you were the one who got me to Halloween Horror Nights functionally.
Yeah, it was weird. Everything comes together, weirdly enough. But he said he remembers me on New York Street. I remember seeing a bunch of shoes, because my mask, that wolf eyes were up here and my eyes were in the mouth. So to make the wolf look at people, I actually had to look down a lot of the time.
Hey, Philip, my eyes up here.
No, I would be like, hello. But also to freak people out, if they ever pissed me off, I would walk next to them at their own pace and stare at them with my human eyes in the mouth and make them feel very unsettled.
Yikes. That's
I
a
would
good
just
move.
like
That's a very
stare
good
at
move.
them with my eyes and blink. It's like, I'm a person and you pissed me off. Get out of my zone. But what's also funny is like I don't remember meeting any of these people. I just remember shoes. That's it.
Makes sense. Also, like you were playing a very memorable character, so it makes sense that he remembers you.
Right. It's like you're gonna know the Scareactor more than well, actually, usually the Scareactor will know the person more, because like, let's say it like this. A Scareactor is very memorable because you're going to remember their makeup and everything, so you're going to know where they're from, right? Yeah. But if you're looking for a specific person, like a specific friend or something like that, and you don't know which character they're playing, that person will recognize you before you recognize them, because they're the ones wearing a mask. You're not going to know. And that happened with me in 2019.
I remember very clearly in 2019 when I went as a guest.
Yeah.
I was waiting in line for, I think it was Us. It may have been one of the other mazes, or like, no, it was the fucking holiday one. Holidays in Hell.
Oh, Holidays in Hell. Yeah.
And I saw this woman who was the usher, the person in the dark robe, and I recognized her from like Halloween. And I was like, oh hey, and we chatted for a bit. But I could sort of tell that she was like, I don't remember which one you are, but you are a 6 foot tall person.
So I know you, but I don't know you.
Yeah, because I feel like I had a rapport with in between scares. Like there'd be, for instance, the Silver Shamrock room, the Happy Halloween. There'd be like the person with the robe would be standing in the corner, and I'd be in the closet, and then when there was a long pause in between guests, I'd like open the closet door and just start dancing to the music, and then they'd start dancing as well. And I was like, God, I have a rapport with you, but you won't know who I am when I take this mask off because we all look the same.
What's a little extra to that too is like I bonded with some of the Jasons in 2017 in the Friday the 13th maze on Terror Tram. And they ended up being cool, and so they were only there for that one night, and I have no idea who they are because they were never Jason again. Yeah, and what's another interesting thing is like seeing people out of makeup, but in their own makeup, like their everyday look, outside, like without the prosthetics, without the fake blood. They look presentable, stuff like that, because they never look exactly the same. When I saw one of my wolf girls outside of her prosthetic, because the prosthetics covered their nose and their forehead and they had fake teeth and everything, but they generally look like themselves because they're just prosthetics. The first time I saw her without the prosthetics on, I literally said to her, wow, I had no idea that's what your nose looked like. You look so different. Because I only ever saw her as the wolf girl, and so it was really interesting.
Sense. There's like that subtle strangeness that happens.
Yeah, it's like I know you, but I don't know you. I was staring at her for a long time after that, just trying to like, I know you, but I don't know you, because I know you as the monster, and now you're human. What? It was very confusing. So I'm really curious. What got you into scare acting? Why did you choose to scare act?
Well, part of it was struggling to be successful in the freelance film world and like needing a gig, needing money. But the year before I worked at Universal, I was invited by my friend Jen to join a bunch of mutual friends who were just going to various haunts. It was like we did Queen Mary, we did Knott's, we didn't do Haunted Hayride, but we did a bunch, point being. Yeah. And we went and watched, like, we went to the Myers house in Pasadena. We watched the original Halloween because Jen hadn't seen it. But point being, I gathered a small community of like horror movie friends, and horror is always a genre that I admired from like a craft perspective. Obviously I'm like a very amateur filmmaker, but most of my stuff is horror, and or at least I do artsy horror. It's weird, but anyways.
I love it. This is one of the reasons we're friends. I love artsy horror.
Point being, I had developed this close community of friends, and when auditions rolled around, we were just talking about like, oh, it'd be fun to do this, yeah. And Jen and I think it was Jen who initially suggested it, like, hey, you want to go audition? And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then I rang you up because I knew you'd done it.
I know the secrets.
So it was a confluence of things. I also felt like, as a person who used to be a performer but wasn't anymore, and a person who wanted to like make more ambitious films, it was a part of the process that I wanted to witness firsthand, and I felt like, I think part of me was like, I'm going to come out a better horror filmmaker than I was before, and that was another motivating factor. Also the fact that, having a job that was a W-2 job, not a 1099 job for once, was very helpful for my taxes that year.
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so that's pretty much the long and the short of why I did it, and yeah, I'm very, very glad to have done it. Honestly, it was a good experience.
So you feel it helps you knowing that other side in making your films?
Well, it's a very different skill. Going into it, I didn't realize how different scare acting was when you're scare acting for for a live event versus for a film, and I've never been a movie monster in a film, but what it did make me realize, I think, is that like it put me more in tune with like how people react to scares, because I was able to see up close and because when you make a horror movie, you do all the post production, you engineer it, you edit it in order to like get the big reactions, but you're never there when the reactions happen, and I think like that's the thing that live theater teaches you, and that's the thing that like that scare acting teaches you is like how to know that feeling of like, oh, I'm clicking, I jumped out at the perfect moment, I got them. Or it's like, oh no, that was just them, it was a mediocre scare and they were just an easy scare. Or like, oh, that person was impressed with my timing there. And with Michael Myers, like I was saying with the Carpenter comment, Michael Myers is a character who really relies on timing, lighting, production elements. The performance is such a small piece of why that character is scary that like I think it was a very good education for me as a person who's a writer, who's a director. It was an education for me in that regard. So that was.
There's a
but
great range.
That said, the part of me that used to do Shakespeare really wanted to like sink my teeth into a more meaty role and like actually be a character.
That's fair. That's fair. Because I was gonna say like there's a range of kind of characters where the performance is a little more important than what you're wearing. Like if you're playing a very like downgraded role, like what I did in 2017, I was just a kill. I was on a stage. I wasn't even interacting with people, and I only had a t-shirt and jeans on and a mask, like a gory mask, but that was it. Like it was just me. So it was very performance heavy based.
Or like the people who were in the Us Maze in 2019, the Lupita Nyong'o performers.
Yeah.
They're wearing a red jumpsuit, which is evocative and a striking image, but it's not like striking terror into your heart to see someone in a red jumpsuit. What strikes terror is the like backwards walking and the like creepy sides like shuffling they do.
Yeah, so like that's where the performance would really be amped up versus when I was the wolf. Yeah, I put a lot of effort into my performance, of course, but I honestly didn't need to do that much because the mask that I had was scary enough. The sounds going on was scary enough. The fog coming out. There were other scare actors to interact with. Like I didn't actually have to do a lot.
Scare zones, people are braced for you, like in a way that they aren't. Well, let me rephrase. In scare zones, people let their guard down easier, I feel. And maybe you feel differently, but like when I go into like Universal, I'm like, there's moments where you're coming out of like, oh, we just got food, and we're just wandering out, and we're not expected to be charged by a wolf woman.
Or have their kids kidnapped by a wolf woman. That was fun.
Yeah.
That's what I'm known for on TikTok. I don't know if you know that, but I'm known as being the scare actor who
I didn't know you were
kids.
known for that on TikTok because I'm not on TikTok, but I did hear that story. You have told me that story.
Yes. I've told many stories of like me kidnapping kids, adopting kids. Non-voluntary adopting. Surprise adoption, that's what we call it. Surprise adoption.
Oh,
yeah, I surprise adopt kids, but then I give them back to the parents, of course.
Although I just realized when I was talking about unawareness, I realized there was one particular night where no one was getting scared while going through, and it was the night of the last game of the World Series where the Dodgers were playing the Boston Red Sox, which is very funny to me as someone who used to live in Boston and knows how crazy that city gets.
Yeah.
But we were seeing people going through on their phones, and they'd like be wearing a Dodgers hat, and they'd be like looking furious and like not getting the scare out of that guy because he's entirely in the game.
I have referenced that night a few times in my interviews. I'm like, do you remember that one night where some team lost and everyone was pissed off, and it was just
it was the Dodgers. It was the LA Dodgers.
It was the Dodgers. Thank you. Yeah, that was driving me nuts that I couldn't remember exactly what it was, but LA Dodgers, and all the guests. Oh no, I lost him again. But basically, you came back.
That was quicker.
Yes, it was much quicker. I see your no.
I was also, there was a very funny moment in that particular night because one of my co-scare actors was this guy named Noelle. I don't know why I remember his name. Facebook has been great for name remembering, actually. Name remembering for people you only meet like once.
Yep, definitely.
But this guy named Nolan was a huge Red Sox fan, and so there was a sort of divide that happened in the green room. We were watching the game on the television, and I'm a casual baseball viewer at best. It was just very fun to watch, like all these people dressed in Michael Myers jumpsuits getting really, really into a baseball game. And then like, okay, tell me the score when I get back. I'm gonna go scare the shit out of some people. Just,
and it's great therapy too, because if your team loses, you just scare a bunch of people and get that out, get that energy
exactly.
out. So it's great therapy. The guests didn't have that. The guests were very pissed off. I remember my supervisor specifically told us, like, take it easy out there. Everyone's really pissed off, so be safe, keep a distance today. And I was like, okay, I don't know why, okay. And we had to, because people were throwing punches. That people were being aggressive, and
I was punched a couple times, but like the worst injury I got, I have to say this once before I leave, was I was clocked in the head by one of my coworkers who flung open a door as I was coming to replace him, and the door just wham, just KO'd me. I had like a lump the size of a walnut. I think you told me
about that. Yeah, I think you told me about that. Oh God, that's
It was friendly fire. It was
friendly fire.
I did get hit by some of the guests, but not like crazy. Nothing like that intense. And I think that guy's name was Creekor, if memory serves. I don't know why I remember that.
Creekor! Oh my God, I think I know him. I don't know.
Yeah, he posts a lot on social media.
Yeah,
anyways,
I think I'm friends with him.
But that was like the only serious injury. The rest was fine. I think, besides a super sore shoulder.
Oh yeah, no, just Tiger Bomb. It's gonna be your best friend. Painkillers, doing those shoulder rolls and stretch. Take care of yourself.
Yep, exactly.
Before we part ways, do you have any advice for new scarers going into it? Since you had no experience scaring going into it, and doing a whole season, good on you. Most people can't do that. Any advice starting out?
I think my best advice is this is probably very hacky and has been said before, but is just to like really. I mean, it's like any performing. You're in a relationship with your audience, however brief, and I think that like a good scare actor knows how to make that really, really brief connection of like between yourself and the guests when you're scaring them. And I think, I don't know, just being like game and willing and like listening to the scare actors who've been there before is a good thing. I know some of them can be maddening with how like I've seen it all before. Some of them could be like. I think there is wisdom in the people who know what they're doing, and like for me at least, it was knowing what my assets were as a scarer, and for me it was very simple: height, nothing else. So it was like, if I'm going to use any like sort of skill, it's my height. And for other people, it might be different. They might have been hired for how they move, or like for their sense of like, for their presence. I think there's something to being aware of why you're there, why are this cog in the machine, and how can I be like the best possible cog? That was a cynical way to put it. It was fun. I mean,
no, that's exactly right though, because you serve a purpose in a scare, whether you are the one scaring or the one assisting a scare, or essentially a prop. It's so horrible to say, but know your place. Know why you were put in that position specifically.
It's honestly kind of a good actor tip in general.
Yeah, like if you're setting up a joke, you're not gonna get the ha-has. You let the other person get the ha-has, but you still serve a good purpose, because the joke won't land unless you set it up first.
Yeah, it's like being a what's the word? There's a term for this in wrestling where you're like the person who sets up the other person being badass moment. What's that called?
You think I would know, considering my dad was a wrestler, but I don't. Sorry, Dad.
It's like a foil or a... God, this is... I don't know. It probably doesn't matter, but I'm just... It's like... God.
You're lobbing the ball up high and someone's gonna strike it down.
Basically, I'm frustrated I can't remember the term for this, because I was just watching Glow, and that it's explained in this show. I say just, that was a few years ago, but still. Anyways.
That's misleading, Rob.
Don't want to derail it too much.
Do you have any projects you want to promote? Any of your social media handles you want to promote to everyone before we call it?
Well, I don't know if it'll be on the video. The recorded bit. My social medias are here.
It is. It is recorded. So his social media handles are right below him.
I'm not like, I'm not the most exciting influencer. I lead the life of a Luddite hermit. So I just mostly my Twitter exists for me to update people about my films and to like have random musings, and my Instagram exists for me to put film photos on. So that's why those are there.
Don't let him sell himself short. Follow him. He makes great stuff.
I'm just finishing up post-production on a short film that I filmed during the mess, which hopefully I'll be able to drop the trailer online soon. We're just tidying up. I was actually giving notes on the sound mix right before this call began.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
But it's an art house queer horror film that I'm extraordinarily proud of. It's a very personal film, and I'm hoping to be getting it to film festivals in the LA area at least, and probably around the world. But like, I'm hoping to get it to film festivals. Like, we're gonna start submitting it tomorrow, and then like see where it goes. It'll probably start. It's like, fingers crossed, our first showings will be in like late September. But like, that's the thing that's consuming all of my time at the moment.
Great. At least you're keeping busy doing what you're passionate about. That's amazing.
I'm trying my best. Otherwise, I'd go insane.
Oh, right. Same. That's why I'm doing these streams. Trying to be creative in that way. It keeps us going.
Absolutely.
So, follow Rob on all the things that I put down there. He makes some amazing films and he writes some amazing stuff. So, he's not like. Are you interested in scare acting again ever? Feel free to be honest. If it's not.
I said this at the.
Oh no! You come out again.
Scare act in the future. Oh god damn it.
It's okay.
Okay.
Try again. Take two.
I don't have any immediate plans to scare act again. But it is something that I enjoyed enough that I wouldn't like. Let me put it this way: like I wouldn't do it again, but. If my schedule opened up enough for me to do it again, I might. But I don't think I will do it like as a full season again. I think I enjoy Halloween as a season as a like person who goes to haunts. I enjoy Halloween too much to like give up my like fall that way again.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't scare in 2019, because it's like I haven't had my Halloween for me in years and I want it. Yeah, like I love Halloween, so that's one of the reasons I scare. But then you're scaring on Halloween, so you're working, which is fun, but it's not my traditions. Like I want to carve pumpkins. And
that was my on Halloween. I scared Aaron Paul. That was my celebrity story of the maze.
Who? Which one?
Aaron Paul. I got a really good scare with him on Halloween, and that was fun.
Oh, love scaring celebrities.
Absolutely. He was the only one I recognized, because the other times I was just like not paying attention to like whether these people are famous or something. But I think it was because he did a big scare and I was like, oh, that's Jesse from Breaking Bad. Cool.
Nice.
But yeah, probably not going to scare act again. I might like, I don't know. I have no plans to, mostly scheduling reasons, because of working a full-time job as a writer. It really like there's like no way I could do the like double handing of like both writing and scare acting at the same time again. That was too exhausting.
Yeah, scare acting kind of leaves you physically and mentally drained for like several months at least.
Well, I finished, it would be like every night I'd finish at like 3 a.m., which was not terribly late, but then I'd get home, go to sleep, wake up at like 9, 8-ish, and then go immediately and start writing, and I'd write from like 10 to like 3, and then at like 4, I'd go in for my call. So it was a round-the-clock schedule for me.
Yeah, it's like if scare acting is your only job, good on you if it pays enough, but most scare actors do have a second job, and that's what really exhausts them, because they have a day job and then at night they scare. And scaring, you'll be scaring from like 4 to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. By the time you're out of makeup, it's 4 a.m., and then you gotta go home, immediately crash, wake up in a few hours, and do it all again. So take care of yourself in those times. Maroon Wolf says, thank you for joining us and sharing your stories tonight. Absolutely
thank you, Maroon
true.
Wolf.
Maroon Wolf is a regular in my streams. She's amazing. But I do have other interviews coming up. I'm going to be interviewing both Sandra and Pete, who I have interviewed before on my YouTube channel. So if you're a regular in my streams, you've met them before. But they're about to share some more stories. Let me find them. It's now time for a much-deserved Carlos. Waiting on you. Stretch. Okay. So they can redeem stuff. I don't know how familiar you are with Twitch, Rob, but
not really.
so in my streams, there are these loyalty points. I call them howls, but you get them if you follow me, watch for a certain amount of time, subscribe, all those things. So however you show support in my channel, you're rewarded points or howls. And then you can redeem those howls for certain prizes. And one of those prizes is like self-care moments. So like stretching.
Oh, nice.
If I've been sitting for a long time and they're worried about my health, they'll like make me stretch. So whenever they redeem it, I have to do it. Maroon Wolf just redeemed hydrate. So I'm gonna have some water.
Nice.
And it could also mess with my gameplay too, because if I'm playing Phasmophobia and I'm running from a ghost and someone says hydrate, I'd be like, oh god, okay.
I keep meaning to watch your other streams when they go up, but there's always something because my schedule's insane.
That's totally fine. You don't have to. It's fine. They're there in case you want to. I just do.
I try to support my friends doing their things, and
it would be great to have you chatting while I play, but no pressure. I do not blame anyone who cannot make it. I seriously just do them for fun. So, but yeah, Glenn and my friend Anthony and I all play Phasmophobia on Wednesday nights, and then we'll pull a fourth person. It's been Kyle. I don't know if you know Kyle. He's a fellow scare actor, but
I think I met him at like your birthday party once, but I don't think I know him terribly well.
he did not come to my birthday party.
So I guess I might be mistaking him for someone else.
Probably.
Our paths may have crossed.
Well,
Anyways.
he worked worked on Vet TV with Havon, and you know Havon through him auditioning and working with you. So maybe that's the connection.
That's another connection. That's fun.
Yeah, it's just everyone knows everyone in the industry, right?
Indeed.
But yeah, so Anthony, he'll do this stupid thing in Phasmophobia where he'll run in and like swear at the ghosts, and he'll piss the ghost off, so he'll hunt, and then we'll be like, Anthony, no! And so I actually have a command that Maroon Wolf so kindly demonstrated called Anthony, and it'll make Bean cry and say, Anthony, no! So whenever Anthony does stupid shit, we do that. I have one for Glenn too, so if Glenn runs in, you can make Bean cry, Glenn, no! So it's all those fun things. But yeah, so follow Rob on all the things. Thank you so much for being here today and taking the time to do this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my shameless plug. Follow me on all the things. Thanks, guys. But no. Follow on Instagram. Discord and Instagram is where you're gonna get the most up-to-date updates on all my streams. So if anything's postponed or canceled or a change in the game that I'm playing for whatever reason, you will find out through Instagram and Discord. And then, of course, follow me on YouTube. It's absolutely free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So Instagram, Discord, TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. Those are the things. I need to work on that outro big time. But thank you so much. It's a long one. I'm on all the things. So yeah, and it's below me here. So feel free to do that. Yeah. Anyway, don't go anywhere, chat. I will be right back with my next Scare Actor duo. And one last big thank you to Rob for being here. Yeah. Okay, don't go anywhere. Be right